Hi, I'm Miss Chris. Today I'm going to show you how to make Linocut stamps, and they're kind of like starting to increase in popularity. I'm seeing a lot of people online making new ones. They're super great and versatile because you can use like a little school eraser all the way up to a full linoleum like tile. So you can carve into any that's like a softer material. Also, you can stamp them onto kind of anything. So you can make cards, you can stamp clothing. It depends on whether you're using ink or paint, how and what you're going to be using them for. So I'm going to show you how to get started. I'm going to show you some basic tools. I'm going to show you how I carved the Temperance Tarot card, which is fitting since the original Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck had wood block carvings as their illustrations. So it's kind of keeping in the spirit of the original designs and also simplifying them and a new style of carving that's more accessible. So follow along.
Step 1 is find an image that you want to use. Mine has text on it, so I made sure to flip the image in paint so that when I stamp it, it comes out correctly. I can't find my carbon paper, so I'm improvising and making my own by shading the back of the image with a pencil. I'm making sure it's fairly dark, that way when I trace over it, it's easy to see. I'm then placing the image on top of the rubber block that I'm using and tracing over it. You can also freehand your image in pencil or ink onto the stamp itself, but if you're not confident drawing freehand, this is a great way to do it. Once the image has been traced, I'm using the knife tool to cut in the outline of the tarot card so that I hopefully don't cut too far in once I start removing the material. I'm using the large U-shaped cutter to take out a large amount of material quickly around the border. The goal is to cut away anything that you don't want on the stamp, so anything that you want printed needs to be higher than the rest of it. And now the hard part, all the fine details. I'm switching to the small V shape and removing these little details in small amounts, taking care not to cut too much away as I go. I can always go back in again if I didn't cut off enough, but if I take off more than I wanted, I can't put it back. There are other shaped cutters that you can use to explore what texture they create, but these two are my favorite. I just like the really fine line that the V gives me, and I like it to work quickly. There's definitely better methods, but I'm fairly new at this. Once all the material that I want removed has been cut away, I'm putting a little bit of the black ink on a paper plate and rolling through it. So it looks basically like a paint roller, but this one's rubber. That way it's not spongy texture and doesn't seep into the recesses that you want to create the stamp itself. I'm making sure that it's fully coated, then I'm rolling it onto my stamp. Looking at what parts of the stamp have the ink on it, I can decide if this is what I want it to look like, or if I want to cut more material away, or if there's any spots that I missed, I'll see it now. I like the way that this has come out already, so I'm going to leave it as is. And with the ink on it, I am going to place it on top of a sheet of paper and use the back of a spoon to rub down on the stamp, making sure I go over the whole thing firmly, pressing it down. That way the ink transfers from the stamp onto my paper. This first stamp is nice and dark. There's still ink on it, so I'm going to do it again and see how that one comes out. This one's much lighter. Probably would be hard to see the next one, so I'm going to add another layer of ink and do 2 more stamps. You can also use paint instead of ink. I'm using ink because I'm just using this on paper, but if you want to stamp your clothing, there is a lot of fabric paints or paints that work well on fabric. Like acrylic paint does not come off of fabric, even though it's not specifically fabric paint, that you can use to stamp your clothing as well and give them their own flair and personality. So once you have your stamp, what you use it for is pretty endless.